morning, Central Texas. Welcome to Kids Community Connections at My Kids 1031. I'm Phyllis Jones, your host, and guess what? We're going to have fun today. My guest, I was telling him a few minutes ago, years ago, I kind of worked for him, kind of sort of in a long distance way of KISD. And so, now I get to put him on the hot seat. That's going to be so much fun, but it's going to be cool. But first, yes, it's my soap opera minute. And this is what I want to say. First, I want to say that by accident, there's a difference between a press conference and a protest. I just want to tell you, City of Killeen, there's a difference. Press conference is, when the lawyer talks or whatever talks about what's going to happen. And a protest is when people are holding up signs. I'm saying this, I know you're trying to figure out why did I say this, because as we know, Thursday, the officer who shot the shooting of James Reed with the no-knock, we learned this week that one of the police officers went in the back of the house and wasn't supposed to, and he also fired his weapon and he wasn't supposed to. So we found out that he'd been indicted by the grand jury, and we have to watch on from there of what happened. And when the Texas Rangers find you guilty, I think you're kind of guilty. But they found him, the cop, guilty of tampering with evidence, which was his rifle, and a couple other things. So the family, since that happened in February, they've been contacting KPD trying to get answers, and they didn't get the answers. So I'll say I don't know whether the question they asked or they just didn't get any answer. But anyway, they didn't get an answer. So they did hire an attorney. And Friday, there was a press conference at 1 o'clock. And I'll say it gave you time to get there, but for some people it wasn't enough time because you found out at 6 in the morning. They was having it at 1. But I'm one of those weird people who get up at 5 o'clock, even though I'm not in school right now. But I got it, and I was there, and I was quite impressed with it. Not impressed because it wasn't a protest, but I was impressed with the information that was given. But I want to say is I expected some of our city council people to be there. Not because you got to remember, first of all, if you show up for a press conference, that doesn't mean you're for or against. It simply means your information sinking, and that's what it's for. But our city council members were all told that they should not go to the protests. Well, you know what? That's a negative connotation on what actually happened, because like I said, I could tell you, let's go to a press conference. You went, oh yeah, let's go to a protest. No, I'm not going. So I think that, we should go. I think the city council should have been there. I think the mayor should have been there. Information seeking purposes. And the city council should have been there because I hate to tell the city council, but those are residents who live in our community. And it's not a for or against. It's information seeking. It's a feeling of the people that was there. I learned a lot being there, a whole lot being there, because I got a chance to talk to his family. And I learned some things that I didn't know from the shooting. Talked to his girlfriend who was in the house at that time. I didn't know she got arrested and held for 3 days questioning. I didn't know that. I'm still trying to figure out why she got arrested. But there are things I didn't know. So am I going to follow the case? Yes. What do I want? I want justice done correctly. That's it. That's all people ever really want, is justice done correctly. Sometimes people take incorrect directions to get it, but because they don't know. So I think, we need to be there to kind of say, no, don't do this, but it'd be smooth to do that. It makes things real easy and less complicated. And also you can keep people, if I tell you the steps, then you know them. If I don't tell you the steps, then you're going to do the wrong ones. And then I say we become the blame, and that's not what we want. Also, other part of my soapbox is the city council meeting. I was at the city council meeting. I came to the city council meeting because I'm concerned about the homeless shelter. I'm concerned about it. So I read that they're going to be on the agenda. So I'm like, okay, let me go, because whoever was speaking, I was going to talk to them later. I didn't know who was going to be speaking, but I wanted to talk to them because the question that I wanted was never asked. So, but anyway, I went. But when I went, I found out that some of our council people forgot what the level of respect is. As a person who, I belong to a lot of organizations, and a lot of us do, there's a thing called Robert's Rules, and there's also a thing called respect. If someone's saying something that you don't like, to yell and curse is not the way to get attention. And Steve Harris, I'll say it, was talking about an item that he wanted heard. But Juan Rivera decided to say, oh, hell no, loudly, and kept on talking to overtalk Steve. Well, one, I'll say that was disrespectful. if you're going to say something, I've been to many places, and I know all of us have, where somebody has said something and you just want to get up, throw your shoe or whatever, but you sit there respectfully, and then when they finish, you go, no, which is what should have been done. But that led to the entire, I would say not all the council, but that led to other heightened of what you call it, voices and actions. So it got taken away. The mayor attempted to curtail it, but he didn't curtail it the way he should have curtailed it, because I think everybody at that time's emotions had ran high. And when everybody's emotions are ran high, there is no calm down. Kilpatrick kept saying point of order, but they didn't listen, and when they finally did, they should have realized there was no more point of order to go to because they went too far. I think the meeting should have been adjourned and taken out, or either you tap the council person on the shoulder and say, go in the back room, chill out, relax, and come out later. But that didn't happen. So I myself, I am the activist. I emailed our mayor and our city manager to let the mayor know that I think he owes the public an apology. He is the mayor. He's in charge of the meeting. They did go off task, but I think that it's time for them to also relook Robert's rules and relook what respect means and start doing that. Because, there's many days, I'm sure most of us have sat at the city council and you wanted to throw your shoe up there because they said something. But respectfully, we did not throw our shoes up there. We sat there and listened to them and probably emailed and fussed at them later, but we did what was respectful. So we demand respect, because we also are ones who give respect. So that's what all I'm going to say about. That's my soapbox for today. There are certain things we need to do. And I'll say this, as a community, we do need to come together and do some things, and we need to hold our city council and our mayors accountable. And we'll hold them accountable two ways. One, by voting. And if you don't vote, you need to be quiet, because you didn't earn the right to talk. But also, we hold them accountable by letting them know. I am one. I'm going to let you know, hey, you messed up, and this is what you did. That's how we hold them accountable. But by, talking about it, no. I mean, even on KISS talked about it. They brought it up, and it was on the Facebook page, so that people would know and understand what's actually going on in your city. So let's come together and let's kind of fix that. Okay, now to my guest. My guest, his name is Larry Moehnke. Good morning. How you doing? Good morning. And I met him when he used to work for KISD. He was one of our admin people. I must say he was nice. I know it's weird to say that an admin was nice. I realized that, but he was during the time he was there. And now I didn't know I didn't know you were part of Friends in Crisis. I had no clue. I thought you were still with the military child organization.
Education.
Yes, yeah, that's what I was like. Where did he get over there? Anyway, as we know, most of us looked in the paper on a Monday morning, and we realized Saturday the homeless shelter is going to close. First I thought that I didn't read that, because how sometimes you read something, you go, that's not what that said. So you reread it again, and that's what it said. So I'm like, first thought is, oh my great, wait a minute, hold up. Where are the people going to go? What they're going to do? Because when the homeless shelter opened, we were happy. Now, one, we knew that the homeless shelter was not going to solve the problem. But but we knew it was going to put a big dent in the problem of homelessness. And everybody who lives in Central Texas, that is your problem. The homeless is an issue. And we were hoping that, it would be, it would grow. And not, grow, but hopefully it would take on some wings and could fly, and maybe, Heights could have one or whatever. But we woke up to find out, read the paper, that it was closing. So I don't know if you know, Dr. Moehnke, but we went into a panic attack.
I went into a panic attack.
So what my first question to you is, when did you all find out that, oh my gosh, we have to do this?
Okay, but basically we had a funding shortfall for the homeless shelter. Now, the homeless shelter, Friends in Crisis, is just one program of Families in Crisis. Okay. I don't work for Families in Crisis. I'm a volunteer. Right now I'm vice president. I served as president for 5 years. Right now, during the time that we renovated the facility, got the money to go ahead and open the homeless shelter. But basically, the homeless shelter had two grants that One of them was in excess of $90,000, and on March 11th, we were informed that it was going to be $50,000. And then we were also notified that a grant that we had for $123,000 last year was discontinued. Now, these grants are not ones that you normally apply for because you normally have to be in operation for 3 years before you're eligible to even apply. We now have met that, so we're actively applying for grants and feel comfortable that we are going to secure 1 or 2 grants that will take effect on or about October 1. So what we're doing is, in order for us not to affect the domestic violence shelters, and we have a domestic violence and shelter in Killeen that's been in existence since 1981. So we've been doing business helping people since 1981. It was founded in 1980. In 2007, we opened a shelter here in Temple. And so we have 3 shelters now with the Friends in Crisis as we opened it in 2015, December of 2015. And so we had a funding shortfall there, and in order for it not to affect our domestic violence shelters, because they have grants, they have funding that are designated for domestic violence survivors. And so in order not to go ahead and jeopardize that operation, we had to temporarily close. Now, we've been closed for 21 days now.
Right.
The Thursday and Friday before the Saturday that we closed, I didn't sleep at all either night. It's very disheartening to me. And we're working diligently. We're working really handily to try to go ahead and get back open. We have worked with our homeless. There's some that stay during the day and evening out front of the building because we don't have personnel to operate it. But we go check on them at least a couple of times a day. There's food that's brought to them. We have several citizens who have brought them some food. And of course, you see them in different areas of Killeen.
Right.
So we're working the issue, and we wish we had it solved right now. We're on our way. We're seeking $180,000. As I shared, those 2 grants were over $175,000. That one was decreased and one went away. But basically, we're working to achieve $180,000 to give us the time between now and October 1 so that we don't have to start up and close again. We want to make sure that once we start up, we're able to sustain. Now, it's going to start getting hotter. And so it's going to be even more critical, although it's critical every day. We've averaged last year, 75.7 per night. This year, 75. And so that's with working with them to secure jobs and get back into the mainstream and be able to rent their own property. We also provide housing assistance, transition housing assistance. We spend over $1 million each year that's designated through grants for housing. And so the housing rental, $1.2 million in total package, because sometimes we have to help them get IDs and all those different things. Put down rental deposits for them, sometimes utilities or that. But we may pay for 3/4, but they have to have some kind of income from a job or other source that they can pay the rest of it, maybe for 6 months, maybe a year, depending on the grant, depending on their circumstances, so that they can get back on their feet. So our mission is to shelter, to support, and to empower. And we feel the empower part is getting them into the mainstream of society again, working and also contributing to our society, making them feel good about themselves.
Right. Yeah.
And creating that atmosphere that's needed as far as someone to be successful.
How much does it cost the shelter per month?
The operation cost, we say, is $30,000 a month. Now, that does not take into account the other administration that's centrally located that has to pay payroll, bills, help with housing, rental, areas, plus the making sure that we're meeting all the guidelines that are within those grants. But $30,000 a month for just that site, and that's not very much, because when you break it down to 75 people, that's $13.33 a day.
Okay.
And that's feeding them a full meal, giving them a chance to shower, wash their clothes, have a safe place to sleep, as well as the next morning give them some kind of breakfast bar. Also, our case manager works with them in regards to what they can do the next day to be as productive as possible, because our shelter is a 16-hour-a-day shelter. It opens at 3.
Right.
People start lining up 2 or earlier,
yes.
But we open at 3, and then the occupants exit at 7, and they have some kind of breakfast treatment bar or fruit or a combination thereof that they can take with them. The rationale for a homeless shelter in that capacity is that you need time to pull all the sheets, all the bedding, all the towels, get them washed, disinfect all the sinks and urinals and commodes and showers and everything, so that you don't have some kind of illness come in that spreads. Everybody that comes in gets a little bag the first time. It has their soap in it. It has their shampoo, their conditioner. We don't share anything.
Right.
So that we don't pass on some kind of illness from one person to another. We only have 9 people. You're talking about 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never have more than basically one person there with a shelter manager also. But during the time that they check in, we process them, get information from them, and then we go ahead and work with them. As I said, the case manager. We also work with various agencies,
okay.
The Veterans Administration, MHMR, the Senecor, the Substance Abuse. We work with a community clinic. They used to have a person there one afternoon a week, but they had some difficulty completing that because basically we had secured a volunteer for that position at one point that was under the guidance of a physician, and so now if we have a situation that related to health, we take them to the clinic because it's not that many blocks away.
Right.
And so our shelter manager, to secure services, she will put the person in her vehicle and take them any place, Temple or wherever is needed, in order to go ahead and get the services that they need.
Okay. Now, as far as needing funds, between Killeen and Heights, we have a gazillion churches. We do. We have a lot of churches, storefront, actual buildings, all that. Has Friends in Crisis written to any of the churches to let them know this is what's happening and this is how you can possibly attribute to it?
We have some good support from churches, and okay. For those who have been supportive, we've been in communication with, but we haven't sent out a general letter okay. to everyone. This is only less than a month that it's been that we had knowledge that we were going to have to close, and as I said, closed for 21 days now. But basically, we've been communicating with a lot of different people. We'll be at the City of Harker Heights next Tuesday to try to work into their community support right. Procedures. And, we're asking now for $60,000 from the City of Killeen
right.
for our interim process to go ahead and help us get to the amount that we need. We're a little bit over $74,000 right now right. through our various areas that we receive money. We receive money. There's a GoFundMe account, and you can go to it and click on Friends in Crisis and donate, or you can go to our website, Families in Crisis, www.familiesincrisis.net. There's a donate button on it, or you can just send the donation to Families in Crisis, Post Office Box 25, Killeen, Texas, 76540. So there's a number of ways that people can contribute, but we've talked to various foundations,
right,
to banks, to the cities, and some individuals that have been supportive in the past.
Right.
We're seeking that amount of money now. We have $74,000. If the city would grant $60,000, that'd be $134,000. We'd be within shouting distance of getting to the amount needed in order to go ahead and effectively open. So we're asking for that, and we will come back and also follow up through the regular budget process, right, for next year, and seek $10,000 a month. That's less than 1/3 of that operation. Now, how did we get here? The city of Killeen approached Families in Crisis.
Oh, okay.
They said the city council has identified homelessness as a top priority, a very top priority. So you are the only organization that has the capacity in order to do something of this nature. And I think we've proved that we can,
right,
and we have been, and it's a quality program. I've invited city council persons to come to the shelters to see it. Anybody who wants to see it, we'll set up a tour so you can see the quality facility. We have a section that's for men. There's 54 beds. It has its own shower area. It has its own laundry facilities. And then we have a section for women and families. It's 3 different rooms, 24 total beds. And one of them is used primarily for families if we have families that need them. We have a common dining area. We have a clinic room that is just like any other doctor's examination room. It hasn't been used recently because, as I said, the community clinic, right, we've been working with them, but we've curtailed that particular process at this time. But people come in, they go through the process, and then we tried to help them. The sheltering part, supporting, we try to give them some life skills information, budgeting, working with them on trying to identify what they have, how they can make ends meet if they go back and get a rental. Because when you really visit with the individuals, they're people like you and me, Phyllis.
Right.
They're not. I mean, people have some kind of
stigma.
Yes, idea of what homelessness is. It's not. It's your neighbor.
Right.
It's someone down the street. Yeah. They have. We had a staff sergeant. A retired staff sergeant. His wife was diagnosed with terminal illness. He went through all his money trying to help her until her death.
Right.
Sold the house, did everything in savings and everything. He told his son, go to the Army. I'll be okay. He wasn't okay. He started getting into alcohol and that. Right. Yeah. He was on the streets. He came to us after a period of time. We worked with the Veterans Administration. We were able to get him enrolled in the program here in Temple. He went through that, and it entails also working a job part-time and then developing those skills, and now he's out on his own. And we have a cook. He came through our program. Our full-time cook, he came to us. He said he was not sure he wanted to. His name is Sean, and he's been interviewed. He's been on some newscasts and that, but he finally came. And once he came, then he also volunteered while he was there.
Right.
And when he took the steps, again working with him, he got a job as a substitute teacher.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, he's a really sharp guy. And so he did that. And that way he got out in his own place. He rented a place and got out there and was effective. Then he continued to volunteer with us, because many of these are so appreciative of what has happened with them that they come back and volunteer. They may help us clean. They may help us cook. He worked in the kitchen, and eventually he became the cook.
I'm looking at the 50 questions I have.
Well, I only have time for 23. I'll be here as long as you want me.
Well, people, okay, another question. It's on Facebook. It's someone, he's asking people to bring tents to put on the grounds of the shelter, and for the days it's going to be tremendously hot. And he's asking, he asked for, so if someone did that, can they do that, or that's illegal or can't be done?
Well,
because he's putting it on there, and people are generating the fact that I got a tent, that I don't use. And
we did have a tent show up, and we didn't remove it, but I mean, we don't advocate that. I mean, we don't really want them to be in tent cities.
Right, exactly.
Basically, there's shade from a tree in the morning, and then in the afternoon there's shade from the building. But yes, it's hot, but a tent doesn't necessarily cool things down. If it's got walls on it, it's going to go ahead and make things even hotter.
Yeah. So
we don't advocate that. It probably is something that wouldn't be the best thing to do.
I'm asking that so that, because the person who's orchestrating this huge event, this thing will be listening.
Terrific.
And I told him I would ask that.
We appreciate the interest.
Yeah.
We appreciate someone taking action and wanting to take action. It means so much.
A friend of mine, last week we took water, cold water, because I know we could have taken it. It could have been warm, but for me it had to be cold because it's me. Anyway, we took some water, but a friend of mine, she pulled up in her vehicle, and she had this big old crate with her, and I'm like, what do you have in there? She made 2,000 peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. I cracked up laughing. I'm like, peanut butter and jelly. To me it didn't rationale, because I've never heard anybody doing that. I'm like, peanut butter and jelly, for real? She goes, yes. Okay. And, she put a little sign up there, and those sandwiches was gone, and she goes, now what do you think? I'm like, I just didn't think it. I said, that is so simple, but no, I didn't think about that.
I think
that's a childhood thing.
a lot of times simple things work very well, and I would guess that have some nutrition in it, the peanut butter and that. Yeah. And so my understanding, and I was not there last Saturday, but there was a gentleman, and he was in the office the other day when I was in the office. He was there to talk to our director, but one of our directors told me that he probably had enough food to feed 200 people that he was there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we have so many people in our communities who are compassionate, who want to help. Sometimes they don't know exactly how to help.
Right.
Certainly, I normally push volunteering and all kinds of other different kinds of efforts. You can bring food and things of that nature. I mean, canned goods and that. In fact, but basically, I mean, right now we need the money.
Right.
Yes. But I also I work on Saturday mornings at the Municipal Court Garden in Killeen. We serve the municipal court, and as a location for students to come and work some of their community service hours, maybe 4, 5, 6 Saturdays. Today we'll be harvesting, and I'm not there, but today we're harvesting potatoes and onions.
Oh, wow.
They'll be taking, of course, we'd be delivering probably 100 pounds of each to the homeless shelter if it were open, but they'll be taking them to Families in Crisis also, but they'll be taking some extra there that hopefully the homeless shelter will be open within the next couple of weeks, and we can go ahead and channel them over there. Because when you have 75 people who are really hungry, really hungry,
yes,
really hot, and can come in and cool off. Right. And get a shower. When we first opened the first month, about a month in, there was this gentleman. I was there, and this gentleman came in, and he was real scruffy. He went back and showered, shaved. You couldn't recognize him. You could not recognize him.
Wow.
And the demeanor changes.
Yes, it does, because yes.
Because now you feel like, hey, I'm back to being a part of life.
Yeah, I'm back to being myself again. Yeah.
So, people don't realize, but I mean, you have people who have health issues, or a family member has health issues, so they can't make their rent or their payment, and or you have health issues, and you lose a job. And you get a different job, but in the meantime, you lost your housing,
right? And
then you don't get enough to go ahead and put up a deposit plus the first month's rent. So you're caught in this limbo that you're just slammed,
right?
And so it's an unfortunate reality. It can happen to most people.